Hi everyone, I'm Shruti Sonamne and I'm here to conduct an interview on behalf of College Dunya. And we have with us Anupta Mishra, EGP1 student of IIM Visakhapatnam. Hello Anupta.
Hi Shruti.
So let's start.
Sure.
So could you please tell us about your profile in brief, like your 10th, 12th, UG, WorkX and your CAT percentile?
Okay. So I did my graduation engineering. I'm a BTech graduate in electronics and telecommunication. During my 10th, I'm from a CBSE board. The 10th percentage that I've had is 93, and for 12th I had 88, and for CAT it was around 92. And during my graduation as well, I had a CGPA of 8.5. So that's like a brief academic points.
Great. So I don't want to sound like this question, but why MBA?
Well, actually, when I was working with Deloitte, my firm, not my firm per se, but the firm I was working with, I had experience in software development, in planning enablement, and in strategy business development. So while working there, I could see different projects or different verticals of business, but I could not really relate towards it. How everything functions together, and that was kind of my main interest of getting into an MBA curriculum, as well as the amount of opportunities you get through an MBA curriculum, the amount of pressure handling capacity that you achieve in this curriculum, the sort of professors, guest lectures, eminent personalities you get to meet and interact with, and all of those were kind of perk points. And in general as well, when you see a career path nowadays, MBA degree is kind of a must to have that overall holistic knowledge of management and how everything works, and that was kind of my reason as well to do the MBA.
Great. So when did you start preparing for CAT?
So honestly, I had started before appearing the last year. I had appeared one more time before that. But I was not preparing then. I was not very serious about it. I was like, okay, we'll see. It was difficult to manage work and everything else. After that year, I think I started a bit early, and that was the major year where I devoted some time for the preparation initially, and then kind of carried it forward. But my major chunk of preparation was the year start rather than at the end of the year, I would say. So
Right.
Ideally, I would say 1 year.
So did you join any coaching classes or any institute, or you were preparing by yourself?
The year before that I appeared again, I had enrolled with Elite Grid. That is, they provide like MBA coaching and all. But again, that I kind of attended for a brief period of time, although that was very helpful for me for the next year, because I was not very serious in the first year. I started doing it on my own in the last year and didn't really enroll in any other coaching.
Right. So did you give any other entrance exams than CAT, or you just appeared for CAT?
So I gave CAT and I gave ZAT. I think these two majorly. I also appeared for SNAP. These three. I appeared for these two exams.
What all calls did you get from which B schools?
So I got from baby IIMs mostly. Like I am Visakhapatnam, I am Sambalpur, I am Bodhgaya, I am Sirmaur, I am Jammu. These were the ones, yeah.
Great. So also could you share about your process of interview in the Visakhapatnam, and when did you get called? What was the process? What were the steps, and how did you convert it?
Okay. So I remember I was in Kasol when I got called from Visakhapatnam. It was in June, mid-June around. Again, that was like I have converted it, and it was a brief period when I could join or not. But it started around June itself, June 1st or May end, somewhat of that sort, where after clearing your first round, when you have that percentile cutoff, after clearing that, I received an email where I submitted an SOP. Based on that SOP shortlisting, again, I got called for an interview process. After the interview process, again in mid-June around, I got the call that I converted and I can join. And then after that, I joined, and we joined campus around June end, somewhat of that sort.
Okay, you mentioned about an SOP. So was that the first step of the process of Visakhapatnam?
Yes. So for me, at least, it was the first step. Before, if you clear the cutoff rounds, after that, the first step for me was, I think most of my friends as well, was the SOP round. Post the SOP round, it was the interview round.
Great. So what all is expected? What a candidate should mention in the SOP?
In my opinion, an SOP should kind of give validation to what you're trying to say. Like if you're mentioning a statement that I'm good at doing this, but you're not backing it with data, it doesn't make real sense. You have to give them an overall picture of what you are, if you have work experience, how your work experience has been, what are some leadership qualities that you have shown, why you want to do an MBA, and why do you think an MBA curriculum is fit for you and how you will be contributing to the organization as well. So I think those are few things that you should keep in mind while writing an SOP.
Right. So your IIM Visakhapatnam interview was online, right? Or was it offline?
No, it was online.
Great. So it happened on a Zoom call. So how many panelists were there when you entered the room?
So there were 2 panelists. I think both of them were the faculty at IIM Visakhapatnam.
Okay.
And when I joined, it was like a casual conversation, sort of an interview. And it like followed on for, I think, good 30 to 40 minutes. At least my interview that I remember, 30 minutes was the time.
Okay. And you mentioned you wrote an SOP before the interview round, right? So did you expect any questions coming from the SOP, or were there based on your work experience or your extracurricular achievements or your undergrad subjects?
So I was expecting questions from SOP because that was kind of a formal thing that they had about me. But I did not get anything from SOP. It was more of a conversational basis where they started off like breaking the ice, like how have your interviews been going on? Has there been good experience till now? And then started off with basic questions like give us a brief about you. Then whatever I answered, based on that the questions started following, and mostly my questions were work ex related because I have a work ex of 4.5 years. So that's why it contained more of that. From BTech, I don't think they had any questions from my BTech, but they did ask me some financial questions, some like current scenario questions, some situational questions, and mostly work ex questions. This was kind of the format that they followed.
Great. Could you also recall the questions that were asked to you in a sequence, or was it a stress interview or a conversational interview that you appeared for?
Honestly, I don't remember the questions. I just remember one which I couldn't answer really well was the return on investment that I'll be doing. Since I'll be quitting my job with a certain package and then joining and then investment for these 2 years. So that was one question that I prominently remember because I could not answer it. The other questions I think were around my background, mostly work ex, what I have done, what were the few impact things. But I don't remember most of the questions. And answering your next question, it was a conversational sort of an interview. It was not stressful at all. Of course, there were stress points. They wanted to, I think every interviewer wants to test you under pressure. So there were a few stress points, but it was not a stressful interview per se.
Great. So when you came to the campus of IIM Visakhapatnam, you may have discussed about the interview experience with your batchmates. So did you ever find that anybody of your friends in the campus had a stress interview?
Honestly, no, I don't think anybody had a stress interview. 90% of them, I would say, had a very conversational sort of. Maybe 10% where, and again, in that situation, you don't know whether the interviewer wanted to go it in that way or was the conversation leading to those questions. So it's difficult to identify. But overall, I would say Visakhapatnam doesn't go for a very stressful interview. It's more of a conversational basis.
And also, do the questions really depend on the panelist, that what subject professor he is? For example, if my interviewer is a finance professor, so would he ask me questions related to finance? Or it is like I've never studied finance. I'm an engineering student, so I do not expect questions from finance.
No. So I don't think that you are expected to know finance. Of course, you're expected to know some basic maths, but they would not ask you based on their experience. They are going to ask you based on what you are going to tell them about yourself or whatever resume or SOP you have or the information that they have of you. And again, if they ask certain questions like that, you can always say that you do not have that knowledge about it rather than globbing about. You can always deny saying that I do not have that knowledge to answer this question. So, and I don't think it is from a professor's background perspective. It's from your academic and work ex background.
Okay, right. So let's come to my favorite question now and the brownie point of the interview. How is life at IIM Visakhapatnam?
Wow. So it's quite what I imagined, and I'm really enjoying it as well because it tests your time management skill firstly, how you are managing all projects from all the subjects, how you're managing your all co-curricular activities, how you're managing your club activities. You have to take part in competitions, there are fests going on, there some or the other thing which is always going on in the campus. Again, the like amount of study and the research that you would have to do for each of these projects, that again takes up a lot of time. You have to plan your time, you have to you have to prioritize your task, and I think that is one thing that you would learn from MBA on how to do all of these things once you enter the corporate world. So I would say it's going great so far.
Great. So it was really amazing talking to you, Anukta, and you gave a lot of information and insights about the process. So thank you so much for taking out time and coming here for us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure interacting with you as well, and thanks for having me.